Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. I have to ask you, is that how you pronounce it? I have to ask you. Can you imagine being in a situation, anything like speaking to a room full of women on International Women's Day if you're a male? No, you can't imagine it because most of you are women. Is the world askew? I don't think I've been as nervous about a speech in all of my life since the first one I gave. I was about 12, 13 months old, and I had been thinking for months, what is this first word I'm going to say? Because everyone will be listening. And my whole world were tuned in. I don't even remember what the word was, but I remember the reaction. Because until I was about 4, I don't think there were any women in my life. No, sure, I had a mother and a sister, but I also had a father and a brother. And their attention was me. When I needed to be fed, they fed me. Sometimes I had to make a bit of noise to get their attention. But it never failed. And it wasn't until I was 4 that I met the first woman that had an impact on my life. Her name was Irene. She was the daughter of my mother's best friend, and we used to play together unbelievably. We played, probably our favourite game was just playing hide and seek. And whenever Mrs. Palmer came down, Irene would be there, and we'd just head off and play by ourselves and had a wonderful time. But up until then, the whole world, well, it wasn't full of males, it was just full of people. And there was no significant difference between males and females until I met Irene. And that friendship lasted until a game of hidings when I was about 11. And she didn't find me. Well, it wasn't that she didn't find me. She found someone else. And that was earth-shattering. But fortunately, I was ready to go to high school. And in those days, we used to travel to high school on a train. Now, there were so many rules in those days about what you're allowed to do and how you were allowed to do it. The girls had to sit up in the first 2 carriages of the train, and the boys in the last 2 carriages, and there were about 6 carriages in between for real people. And that was a rule. Nobody knew why it was a rule. Well, we certainly didn't. But we just abided by it. But when you got off the train, you could walk home with whoever you liked. And I used to walk home with Julie and Christine. And they were good company and good fun, and we just chatted until one day at school, they had an argument. So both of them asked me, did I want to walk home with them? And my answer was, I am not going to get in the middle of this. And that was probably a second influence on the way that I learned to deal with women. If they want to argue, keep out of it. A week later, they were best friends and walking home together, but I wasn't invited. Now, I didn't do anything other than try to protect myself. That's my history of interactions with women. And my message, I think, is that women are people too. It kind of, it runs askew. You know, what is International Women's Day about? Is it that women can do anything, or that women are special? And I don't know. That, to me, is a problem. It was a problem that that confronted Jeff's great-great-grandfather, Justice Higgins, in 1912 when he made the fruit pickers decision. He was the first significant judge of the industrial court. If you go through industrial court history, the name Higgins comes up. And he decided that women fruit pickers were to be paid the same amount as men. Because if they didn't, the men would lose their jobs and they just employ women at a lower rate. But it was also his decision that said fruit wrappers, which was primarily a women's job, would be paid at 56% of the rate of a fruit picker. And the argument was that men had to support families and so forth, whereas women were just there to, I guess, buy makeup and that sort of stuff. That's the industrial law of Australia, and it's gone on for that long. But I think probably the best summary of the progress over time was a speaker I heard at a conference in the States in the late 90s. Her statement was, my grandmother was a lady, elegant, reserved, quiet, hard-working. In her day, there were no washing machines, stoves were heated with timber or coal, trousers were worn by men. My mother was one of the girls, playful, outgoing, sociable. She had a driver's license, but not her own car. I am a woman, positive, professional, independent. I don't know a job that a woman cannot do if she chooses to train and gain experience. My daughter will be a doctor, or a carpenter, or a nurse, or a train driver, or a clown in a circus if she wants to. And so will my son, if he chooses. Ladies and gentlemen, on International Women's Day 2025, let's focus on people. Madam President.